dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Jim Freeman. The family of Harlan County native Mike Lamb is continuing to search for answers following his disappearance last year. WYMT's Alyssa Williams checked in with Lamb's family to get an update on what the search is looking like.
It was March of 2022 when 53-year-old Mike Lamb vanished from the Everts community.
It's like he walked outside and gone.
Lamb's family says he had walked outside the home he shared with his brother to go to his neighbor's house, but he never made it there.
I mean, he left his phone and his wallet and everything like that, so, and my brother that is disabled, he also took care of, and he had left him there, so I know he didn't plan on being gone for long.
Once Lamb was declared missing, his family hit the ground running with the search.
We went actually just everywhere. We went to the different places that we thought that he could have been. We went searching the riverbanks to make sure that he hadn't fell off the side of the road or anything. We searched the ditches. We searched everywhere.
More than a year later, the search for answers continues.
We urge everybody that if they hear anything at all, no matter how crazy that it sounds, to tell one of us or the sheriff's office. That way we can check into it, because it might sound off the wall and crazy, but it could have some truth to it. And that one little piece of information could very well be what leads us to finding my dad.
Holding out hope that justice will be served for Mike Lamb.
Whatever happened, he didn't deserve it. I know he for sure don't deserve to be laying up on the mountain somewhere or something. He deserves to be brought home.
In Harlan County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Thank you, Alyssa. Harlan County Sheriff Chris Brewer released the following statement to WYMT tonight and says, quote, "The Mike Lamb case remains open as a missing persons case with foul play involved." The sheriff says there's not a lot they can comment on due to the active case remaining active. He says the Harlan County Sheriff's Office is still following any and all leads. The sheriff adds that he spoke with Mr. Lamb's family not long after being sworn in as sheriff. He says he informed the family that his investigators would continue on with the probe and do everything in his office's power to bring justice and closure to the family. The sheriff says his staff is currently following new leads, but also revisiting old leads to ensure they are doing everything possible to find Mr. Lamb and the ones responsible for his disappearance. The sheriff says in the meantime, Mr. Lamb's family remains in his prayers because he could not imagine the nightmare they are living. He's asking anyone with information to contact the Harlan County Sheriff's Office, end quote. Police are still investigating the shooting in Whitesburg that led to the death of a 19-year-old. The shooting occurred on Hazard Road above the old high school football field. Police say 19-year-old Ethan Brown shot 19-year-old Nolan Nagel, who was later pronounced dead at ARH. Whitesburg Police Chief Tyrone Field says the shooting was not a common incident in the town.
We're inside of our city here. It's very rare. You know, over the past 14 years, this is probably, unless I can think of something else, maybe one or two other times a homicide. But other than that, I can't think. So it's very rare.
Police say Brown surrendered immediately. Now he's being held at the Letcher County Jail.
Well, you're still watching out for a few showers across the mountains as we go into tonight. Here's a live look at the radar. As you can see, most of us are getting a little bit of a break right now. Most of us are dry besides our southwestern counties over the Cumberland Valley. Places in Pulaski, Wayne, McCreary, Whitley, also into Campbell and Claiborne counties as well. A few showers are possible, and that will continue as we go into tonight. The good news, no severe weather is on tap tonight, but that could change as we go into your Monday. Current temperatures right now, middle to lower 60s. We are still mild out there at this hour. 61 for Jackson and Pikeville, 63 for Somerset, 59 here in Perry County, and 64 over in Moorhead at this hour. As you wake up on your Monday, temperatures in the upper 50s and lower 60s. We do warm up into the upper 70s and lower 80s. A warm day on tap, but also watching out for some showers and storms, mainly during the overnight into your Tuesday morning hours. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Jim?
Very good, Cameron. Thank you. Old Friends Farm hosted its 18th homecoming today, bringing in horse racing fans for a day of music, food, and fun. but it followed a difficult Derby week for the industry. WYMT's Jeremy Toms has more with the farm's owner.
We got people here from Australia, we got people here from New York and California, all over the place. For some people, now it's become an annual tradition. They don't necessarily go to the Derby, but they come here.
Homecoming at Old Friends Farm lets fans meet some of their favorite horses of yesteryear, score some high-end horse racing memorabilia, and get a glimpse of what's still to come for this retirement farm. This year, streets on the farm were dedicated to 3 influential members of the horse racing community: Bob Newmeyer, Jay Privman, and Dave Litfin.
Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of the great riders and a lot of the really important people in racing, because these are the people who are responsible for telling the stories of these great horses, and without the stories, nobody would care much.
Stories like the one which unfolded over 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs Saturday, ending in victory for Mage, but in defeat for farm owner Michael Blowen.
I'm glad he won, but I didn't bet him. So I lost money on the Derby, but it doesn't really matter because the Derby transcends all that.
While Blowen says the week ended brightly with the run for the Roses, he acknowledged that the build-up to this year's Derby included some dark days for this sport. 7 horses died on Derby week, while several others scratched.
They really do need some regulation, and they need to have really strict enforcement.
Blowen says the goal of this day and their farm as a whole is not to ignore those problems with horse racing, but to shine a light on these animals and the positives of the sport.
It's really unfortunate that this happened, especially to the horses, and people should be held accountable for that. And I think if people realize how much joy there is in this sport, they wouldn't do things like that.
In Georgetown, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Thank you, Jeremy. A national pilot shortage continues. We have previously highlighted Eastern Kentucky University's aviation program's effort to recruit new pilots, but there's still not enough young pilots to replace the ones retiring from the industry. Julia Sander takes us to one side of Bluegrass Airport, where a Lexington teen is ready to take flight.
It's in the Hensley family's DNA. Hands at the wheel, checking the controls, and turning on the engine. A typical 17-year-old is on the roads, but Zach is in the air.
As a kid, I grew up around planes, and then I kind of used helicopters as a gateway into aviation as a whole.
Zach Hensley has already taken flight plenty of times with his father, Russ Hensley. Growing up as a frequent flyer, Zach took the opportunity to do it himself.
So it's flying and then ground school, so you learn about all the different stuff about the helicopter, and then the rules, the just gist of it, and then you fly and get good at the actual flying part of it.
Nearly 20 years ago, Russ Hensley was an officer in the flying club. Now his son is following in his footsteps.
Flying with Zach when he was probably, 6, 7 years old, and to see him do what he's doing, I never expected it.
It's a full circle moment from his first flight to now.
And I'm a helicopter pilot, and he flies it better than I am. I yield. He's a better pilot than I am, so it's kind of humbling.
But with a pilot shortage across the nation, the government expects more than 18,000 openings for airline and commercial pilots every year. In Lexington, Russ estimates about 500 to 600 active pilots. So although Zach is getting a head start, it's only a small piece of a bigger puzzle.
I think it's just good to benefit the aviation community. I think it needs to grow. A lot of people don't know about it.
But hard work pays off. Now, Zach will have quite a few licenses to add to his wallet before he heads to college at Eastern Kentucky University.
To see him be a helicopter pilot at 17 is mind-blowing.
In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
Thank you, Julia. World Aviation Flight Academy statistics indicate there are only 15,000 helicopter pilots currently active in the United States. The Hensleys encourage others to explore the career and join the fun of flying. New details are emerging about the gunman in a suspected deadly mass shooting yesterday at a mall in Allen, Texas. Mourners built a makeshift memorial for the victims at the Allen Premium Outlets. The day before, a gunman, who police have identified as 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia of Dallas, pulled up in a sedan and began shooting at people, killing 8 and wounding several more. Garcia's neighbors say it comes as a shock.
Yeah, it kind of sends a little, chill down your spine and makes you, wonder, like our neighbors were saying, that that we know our neighbors, but you know, how much do we know about our neighbors? So that's kind of the question that we'll never know.
Neighbors say they would see him come and go to work dressed in a uniform that looked like a security guard, but for the most part he kept to himself. Hollywood's writers' strike has hit one of MTV's biggest nights of the year. The network canceled the live broadcast of its annual award show. The move comes after host Drew Barrymore pulled out in solidarity with the strikers. New reports show several top media executives earned salaries topping tens of millions of dollars in recent years. Windsor Castle transformed into a concert venue today as some of the biggest names in music performed to celebrate the coronation of Britain's King Charles III. Among the performers were singers Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, Andrea Bocelli, pop group Take That, and pianist Lang Lang, while Hollywood actor Tom Cruise and Winnie the Pooh also made cameos.
As my grandmother said when she was crowned, coronations are a declaration of our hopes for the future. And I know she's up there, fondly keeping an eye on us, and she'll be a very proud mother. For all that celebrations are magnificent, at the heart of the pageantry is a simple message: service.
Charles, his wife Camilla, and other senior royals joined the audience of 20,000 members of the public and specially invited guests. The coronation concert was hosted at the King's Palace to the west of London. The daughter of Mount Everest hiker who died a week ago on his way to the summit of the world's highest mountain peak is speaking publicly about her dad. Brady Wakayama has the story.
You know, he really lived a great life. And yeah.
A life that moved mountains to make the world a better place.
My parents gave me a really great childhood.
Maya Sugarman reflecting on the good time she spent with her father, 69-year-old Dr. Jonathan Sugarman.
Unfortunately, most of us do have to go through losing a parent at some point, and I think the only thing you can really, turn to get some comfort is the good memories and the lessons and the fun and everything along the way.
Maya describes her father as a man of the mountains.
Climbed Rainier 13 times. He climbed Denali, which is the highest mountain in North America, Aconcagua in South America, did a number of expeditions in Nepal, and felt that he had all of the skills and experience to make an attempt to the summit of Everest.
Dr. Sugarman was pursuing his goal of summiting Everest during this recent expedition, but unfortunately, May 1st would mark his last.
Really, really shocking to our family. I can't begin to describe what a terrible day that was. Worst day of my life.
Maya says the family was notified by the expedition group and consulate of Nepal of her father's death. She believes altitude sickness could have played a role in his passing.
Passed while doing something that he loved so much, that we know that he had done everything he could in preparation for this journey, that he was passionate, and that this was him pursuing a dream.
It's her father's motivation of following those dreams that she'll take with her.
Got so much joy from the journey that he took, and I think he would wish that spirit of adventure and disciplined pursuit of goals to others, and I know that as his daughter, that's what I aspire to as well.
Coming up at 11, severe weather leaves some damage across parts of the Midwest. Details next.
Plus, a busy forecast continues into early next week as more showers and storms are possible, tracking strong storm potential after this break.